Coming up on today's Airborne, a former Blue Angels commander is being investigated on sexual harassment and discrimination issues. Texas Equusearch files a lawsuit against the FAA. And Boeing reports strong first quarter results. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. On our Airborne broadcast this past Monday, we broke the news that former Blue Angels boss Captain Gregory McWherter had been removed from his job as executive officer of Naval Air Base Coronado. At the time of that report, no details had been released, and everything was pretty hush-hush. Now the Washington Post has announced it is in possession of documents that indicate the actions against McWherter were because of allegations that included hazing, sexual harassment, and other forms of discrimination. The complaint is alleged to have happened while McWherter was commander of the Blue Angels on two separate occasions, between 2008 and 2012. A Support Boss Greg McWherter Facebook page has been established, and support for the boss is flowing in. We're aware that all branches of the military have come under congressional investigation for alleged improprieties. It's at times like this, it's important to be concerned that the rush to satisfy congressional pressure does not lead to a witch hunt, though insiders admit that McWherter's career is probably ruined. As previously reported by ANN, Texas Equusearch, the nonprofit organization that was recently smacked down by the FAA for using an unmanned aircraft for volunteer search and rescue missions, has filed a lawsuit against the administration, stating its use of UAS is not in violation of the law. The lawsuit calls the systems the nonprofit has been flying model aircraft, instead of using the term unmanned aircraft systems. It's an important distinction considering the FAA has kept separate operating standards for model aircraft. The FAA issued a cease and desist order on March 17th, demanding that Texas Equusearch stop all UAS activities. The FAA order states in part, quote, that model aircraft operated for any purpose other than recreation require specific authority and are subject to pilot and aircraft certification as unmanned aircraft systems, end quote. The suit states in part, quote, immediate review of the order would confirm that there is no legal basis for the FAA to prohibit the operation of model aircraft for volunteer search and rescue activities, end quote. The suit goes on to call the FAA's handling of the situation an abuse of discretion. It also alleges that the FAA has a history of verbal harassment of the Texas Equusearch team. You're watching Airborne. We'll be back after these messages with more news and our feature of the day.
ADS-B will be mandatory for most aircraft by 2020 in the United States, but you can benefit from ADS-B today with the Bendix King KT-74 Mode S transponder. The KT-74 meets the global mandates for ADS-B out when attached to a suitable WAAS GPS. Over the past 2 decades, no resource has compiled as much expert-valued information about the sport plane world than the Sport Plane Resource Guide. Over 1,500 pages, hundreds of aircraft, dozens of how-tos and directories. All this and more will be coming to the sport aviation world soon with the new, all-electronic and updatable Sport Plane Resource Guide for your iPad, iPhone, Kindle, tablet, PC, or other electronic devices. Get your order in now. www.sportplane.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, drop an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Boeing reported first quarter revenue increased 8% to $20.5 billion on higher commercial volume. Boeing Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Jim McNerney said, quote, disciplined execution across our production and development programs produced strong first quarter results. We measurably increased revenue, core operating earnings, and cash flow, and expanded core operating margins. McNerney added, quote, our outlook of the full year remains positive on the strength of demand for our fuel-efficient new commercial airplanes. our solid position in global defense, space and security markets, and our enterprise focus on meeting customer commitments, improving productivity, and profitably delivering the growth in our sizable backlog." End quote. It's Friday at last and time for our weekly Barnstorming commentary. This week, Jim wonders if some of the problems we've had in aviation over the last few years could partly be our fault because of a lack of leadership in our industry. Here's this week's Barnstorming.
Thanks, Ashley, and hi, folks. I want to speak again about a topic we've touched upon a number of times, and that's the stunning lack of leadership within the aviation community. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some bright spots out there. We've got Jack Pelton leading EAA, we've got Paula Dirks leading AEA, we've got John Cudahy running ICAS, and a number of others out there that are doing a really stunning job. But then again, we've got a lack of leadership in areas where in the past we've enjoyed some pretty great successes. Look what Jack Pelton did when he was running Cessna. Look what's going on now. Jack Pelton, when he was running Cessna, spoke out, ran PR campaigns, got in Washington's face, talked about the value of aviation, and made it clear to everybody else that general and business aviation had something going for it, and you better check it out if you don't want to be left behind. Look back at the earlier days of Cirrus, when Alan Klappmeyer led this once proud company and talked about the utility of aviation, talked about the innovation that he was bringing to the community, talked about extraordinary events, talked about the successes that they had undertaken, and also talked about how much fun flying was. And look what's replaced it. Brent Waters lying to the public. Dale Klappmeyer hasn't done a whole lot better, and the company is a shadow of what it once was, and a pretty shameful one as well. And then we need to go to AOPA. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to modify my opinion a little bit. I don't think everything that's happened since Phil Boyer left has been all that bad. But I got to tell you, it's not the organization it was. It's, frankly, about half of what it was, if that at best. But we haven't seen the outspoken attitudes necessary to get at people's faces to fight Washington. AOPA has not really countered the Washington community nearly as well as it did when Phil was there. Now, granted, some of the people who were in charge at that point were part of the Washington community and had a go-along to get along or an insider's viewpoint to getting things done. But it got us an FAA that ultimately felt it could do anything it wanted to, like bill us for going to Oshkosh, like create all kinds of additional complexities. And when AOPA should have stood up and fought it and let people know that this mighty organization was going to play mighty organization and get in their faces about it, well, it didn't. Folks, what does it take to lead? It takes strength. What does it take to be an effective leader? Well, it takes intuition, it takes smarts, it takes an innovative attitude, it takes a caring attitude. Where are the future leaders going to come from? Who really cares about this business? And when? When will they step up? I kind of want to know. Imagine you do too. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell.
Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and Powering Imagination, LLC, have entered into an agreement to create an electric flight program. In announcing their agreement, Eric Lindbergh, CEO of Powering Imagination, and Dr. Richard Anderson, director of the Eagle Flight Research Center at Embry-Riddle, noted that commercial aviation power plants emit a significant amount of pollutants into the atmosphere. Electric and hybrid electric power systems offer the potential to significantly reduce both noise and emissions. Powering Imagination's Quiet Flight initiative will be joined with Embry-Riddle's Green Flight program to enable development of a test aircraft. The students and faculty at the Embry-Riddle Daytona Beach, Florida campus will convert a Diamond HK-36 motor glider to electric power. Both Powering Imagination and Embry-Riddle are currently raising funding for this multi-year initiative to enable the purchase of the HK-36 airframe, the conversion of the aircraft to electric power, and the operation of the plane for testing methods of reducing emissions and noise. Airborne's brought to you by some of the best sponsors in the aviation business. We'll be right back with more news.
Since its inception, Redbird Flight Simulations has been dedicated to developing new training technologies and processes in an ongoing effort to make aviation safer, more affordable, and more accessible. Consider Redbird's flagship flight training device, the FMX, a superior quality, full-motion, feature-rich advanced aviation training device priced with real-world flight training organizations in mind. With standard features that are anything but standard, such as wraparound visuals, a fully enclosed cockpit, quick change configurations, scenario-based training compatibility, and of course, an electric motion platform, the FMX serves up a level of realism that is simply unavailable in other training devices on the market. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird FMX, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. It's a good bet that Piper founder William T. Piper never even dreamed that the Piper Cub concept would still be going strong in 2014. American Legend Aircraft Company launched its Super Legend on the grounds of Sun & Fun 2014. The aircraft received its FAA approval last November. Currently, production is underway on an order book of 9 aircraft, with 4 having been delivered to customers. The all-new Super Legend follows the successes of the Legend Cub, an airplane that led the sport pilot movement upon its introduction at Sun & Fun 2005. The Super Legend will appeal to sport and adventure pilots for its capabilities in backcountry and pleasure flying. The Super Legend first flew on January 12, 2012. Its design objectives include a quest for a higher performance in the ultimate two-seater. The new Lycoming YO-233 in the Super Legend provides shorter takeoffs, greater range, and better useful load when operated as a sport pilot-eligible aircraft. In cooperation with the U.S. Army, Sikorsky has successfully demonstrated an optionally piloted flight of a BlackHawk helicopter, a significant step toward providing autonomous cargo delivery functionality to the U.S. Army. The optionally piloted BlackHawk demonstrated autonomous hover and flight operations while under the control of a manned portable ground control system, demonstrating the capability for expeditionary operations and critical cargo resupply. The autonomous BlackHawk helicopter provides the commander with the flexibility to determine crewed or uncrewed operations, increasing sorties while maintaining crew rest requirements. Sikorsky's Manned-Unmanned Resupply Aerial Lifter program is a cooperative effort between the U.S. Army Aviation Development Directorate, the U.S. Army Utility Helicopter Project Office, and Sikorsky. The project office is providing access to 2 UH-60MU BlackHawk helicopters, and Sikorsky is supplying the technology it's developed with internal research and development funding. Get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember, Airborne is streamed 3 times a week and is always online. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new episode. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.